It's the Las Vegas Sportsline, presented by CG Technology Sportsbook.
Money won is twice as sweet as money earned.
Presented by WagerTalk.com.
Here we go. It is the Thursday edition of the Las Vegas Sportsline. I'm Dave Koch, and Ralph Michaels is here from WagerTalk.com. It is our CG Sportsbooks edition, and that means Jason Symbol with loads of key behind-the-counter info coming up in just a little bit. A lot of college games to look at this week where there's been some line movement. We'll find out from Jason. He provides just great information on this as to the games where the sharp money's showing, or maybe it's just public money, and this is something bettors like to know. Des Bryant, Ralph, he is now a New Orleans Saint. Difference maker or much ado about nothing?
You know, I don't know about this week, but I think it's a very positive for the Saints because now, you know, Des Bryant has to be ecstatic. Playing with Drew Brees, coming in as the number 2 receiver, not getting double-teamed. He's got all the weapons to make a big statement here to end the year.
Now, an interesting sidelight to this is that Des is he's a guy who likes the spotlight. If he goes that route here, I think it might be bad for the team. I don't think he's going to. I think Des Bryant is going to just fit in as a member of a Super Bowl contending team. If he goes the other route and starts making noise about get me the ball or just tries to become the star of the show, that could be a distraction. So I am eager to see what happens along those lines in terms of how much he fits in with the rest of the team. I think it's going to be okay, but you never know with Des.
I think that absolutely had to be brought up in the conversations they had with him. And the structure you have there with Peyton and with Breeze, I think you have an established structure that he's not going to be a problem, and I think he's going to be a big plus to that team moving forward.
We watched a basketball game yesterday. It was actually an early game right after our show ended, and it was Ohio State visiting Cincinnati. When I did my preseason stuff, I actually was kind of shocked at how bad the AAC appears to be this year. Cincinnati might be the team to beat in that conference, and they're not very good. At least they weren't in my preseason ratings. And they lived up or down to those expectations yesterday as the Buckeyes go in and get the win. Cincinnati offense, 17 for 62, 27% from the field in the loss. Not that Ohio State was that good, but Cincinnati was that bad.
Yeah, well, they had a lot of excitement opening their new arena, and that's why the Buckeyes came down for the opener, and you're playing your in-state big brother. So, and, but I'm an Ohio State fan. I have the Buckeyes higher than a lot of people. I think Chris Holtmann is one of the best college basketball coaches there is, and they have a couple guys coming in this year for the Buckeyes that I think they're going to make some noise in the Big Ten. So I think it's a little bit of both. Cincinnati just being anxious, excited.
Yeah. And not used to the shooting lines.
And Ohio State being better than some people think.
What is your overall assessment of the AAC? The same as mine? I mean, I think it's just a bad conference this year. It is, to me, it's a mid-major conference this year, which is not what they want to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's below the Mountain West. Mm-hmm. It's almost to the MAC level, where you have a couple good teams. And, when you have Memphis and you have now Penny Hardaway, who never had been a head coach, taking over, and Temple's down, and the entire situation, this Bearcats aren't the same type of defense they've been in the past.
All right, time for us to look ahead. We've got an NHL game involving our local team. We've got a college football game and 2 NBA matchups comprising today's Thursday MJ Christensen 4-4.
1, 2, 3 into the 4.
Put them fours up. Put the fours up, I said. Do it right now.
Tonight's action is just around the bend, and the guys want to get your night off to a great start.
4.
It's the Las Vegas Sportsline's 4 at 4.
Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. Unbelievable.
We're getting to that time of year where it's time to start thinking about what you're going to get people that you like or love for Christmas. Gift cards. If you find the right spot for a gift card, I mean, it's a perfect gift. You can't decide what to buy your loved one or friends or family or colleagues. Get them an MJ Christensen gift card for the holidays. They've got a variety of denominations, and they're good for shopping, services, all kinds of good things related to jewelry. MJ Christensen, located at Boca Park, their one and only location. They've been around for 3/4 of a century, family-owned, as active as it gets as any company in terms of community involvement. is someone you'll enjoy doing business with. MJ Christensen Diamonds at Boca Park. Visit the website, mjchristensen.com. Check out their Facebook page for more information and specials. We begin with the Golden Knights on the road against Ottawa tonight. It's a game the Golden Knights, despite the fact that they have not played well on the road, Ralph, they're good-sized favorites in tonight's matchup.
Well, you have conflicting situations here. The Knights have gone under the total, 8 of their last 10, and you look at Ottawa. Ottawa's gone 6-0-1 to the over their last 7 games. Still, it's tough for me to back the Knights. 2-8 on their last 10 games on the road, and historically, the Senators have been an over team. 33-21, 61% of the over their last 54 games.
On paper, Ottawa is arguably the worst team in the league. They just don't have much talent. They're working hard on the ice, and they're playing almost 500 hockey, which is impressive. The Golden Knights have more talent, but they're kind of snake bit offensively right now, and the pressure keeps building each game because they just cannot put the puck in the net. And if you watch a Golden Knights game right now, it's almost as if they're trying to be perfect with all their passes. And also making that one extra pass before shooting the puck. They're just not playing with the same level of freedom, if you will, in terms of their mental approach as they did last year. They're a team that's pressing.
Again, I'm still learning hockey, new to the situation, but Ottawa has 5 wins since the 13th of October. They are New Jersey, Buffalo, Montreal, Dallas, L.A., so all teams on the lower half below the Mendoza line, right, as far as talent-wise goes, or middle of the road?
I think the Devils are a little better than that, and I like the Sabres team, but, yeah, I get what you mean.
So, again, against better teams, they have lost every one of those games.
Ottawa's eventually going to go on a pretty good-sized losing streak. The talent just isn't there. All right, college football tonight, big number in this game that has kept on getting bigger. Wake Forest will turn to Sam Hartman as the quarterback. The other kid got hurt, and so now Hartman gets his shot. This was a neck-and-neck battle in preseason, going back to spring ball between their 2 quarterbacks, and Hinton was the other guy. He was the starter returning from last year, but he was going to be suspended anyway. So I don't know if there's much of a difference here in the quarterback play for Wake Forest. They're not much of a team. But, boy, that's a big number. You're going to have to pay a premium to pay NC State, despite the fact that it's a game they should win comfortably.
Yeah, I went back and forth on this game, and, when I ended up, I would still take NC State with enough of an offense. But, again, that's not the type of defense I want to lay 17 points against a Wake Forest team that's 7-3 ATS as an away dog the last 3 years.
Yeah, they battle. They're not going anywhere this year. It's not a particularly good Wake Forest team, but the number was just too steep for me, and it's gotten up to, it's approaching 3 touchdowns. So.
This number was 5 at the beginning of the year in the summer lines.
Well, that was wrong.
Yeah, well, again,
that was just a bad number because
people expected Wake Forest to be much better than they were.
And I don't think people realize that, NC State's pretty good. I know it. I won't say it's gotten away from them. They haven't played as well lately, but Clemson will do that to you. That Clemson loss was, they got their teeth kicked in that game, and it does take a while to recover from that. If I had to bet the game, I'd take NC State. I'm not doing it, though.
I agree with you. Finley can move the ball and score for NC State.
Yep. Basketball tonight, the Rockets and Thunder will match up. It hasn't been to the start of the season that either one envisioned, but you get the sense that Houston is starting to find its way now.
Well, the teams were combined 1-9 to start the year, but Houston, you could explain their start to the year. CP3 missed a couple games, Harden missed 3 games. Now they're back together. They've won 3 straight. Oklahoma State has reeled off 6 straight. But in the situation, the way Houston's playing, I would back them in this role.
And this will be fun because the Greek Freak is going up against the Dynasty. The Bucks playing the Warriors. And this will be a good watch tonight because you want to watch a guy who individually is as good as it gets and the team that's as good as it gets. Obviously, the Warriors are good-sized favorites, as is always the case for them at home. But I think this is one of those games where at least you can make the argument. Maybe the Bucks can hang around. The flip side of that argument is I think this is a game the Warriors are going to have interest in from the outset, and that's when the Warriors get really scary.
Well, I think Golden State will be focused because Milwaukee beat him at home last year. But let's preface that by saying Curry missed that game. Yeah. So, again, it's not the same Warriors team. The Greek Freak, 26 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists a game. But Milwaukee is 1-8 on the road their last 9 games.
Yep, not very good away from home, and they are definitely away from home tonight. Jason Simbal joins us on Thursdays from CG Sportsbooks to take us behind the counter and let us know about what's happening in terms of the betting action on all the football games that matter. What's going on, Jason? How are you?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Good. Looking forward to what should be a fun weekend. We're into the stretch running now in college football. But before we get to the colleges, let's check out the NFL because the Panthers and Steelers are playing tonight, and this should be a pretty good volume betting game.
It should be, and it's already shaping up to be. The move has kind of come in on the Panthers here over the past, couple hours. So the number now is 3.5, Steelers 3.5. It was 3 for a little bit not long ago. Game opened a little bit higher, though. It kind of went down from 4.5 down to 3.5 here today. But the interesting about that is the ticket count was pretty even. In fact, there were, I was expecting the public to be a little bit more on the Steelers than the Panthers, and they are, but not by the margin I expected. It's been pretty close.
And I'll mention that we will be focusing on the Panthers and Steelers matchup later on in the marquee matchup of the day, Ralph.
Yeah, moving to college, it's not one of the best games we've had on Thursday night, an ACC matchup, and an injury on the Wake Forest quarterback side has made this seems money one-sided on NC State. Is that continuing?
Yeah, it's continuing. So this one, the game opened 17.5, shot all the way up to 19, came back a little bit to 18, which is where it is now. But it's been pretty lopsided action on NC State. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes back up a little bit to 18.5. So not much doing here. You did mention the quarterback situation. That probably is why folks are on the under in this game. That totals at 67.5 now.
We have got a big one in the Mountain West on Friday. This will get a good national audience. Fresno State, which is a monster this year. They are just a terrific football team. They'll be going on to the Blue Turf in Boise. Broncos doing what they had to do to get a win, not very impressively, against BYU last week. And Fresno State going in the favorite. Now, are they also the public favorite?
Yeah, Fresno State is so far. This is a fun one to talk about because we've had good two-way action, and it's actually different sharp bettors on each side, which doesn't happen that much, but from time to time. So we have a group of guys taking the 3 with Boise or laying the 2.5 or 2 with Fresno. So, from our perspective, as long as the game doesn't fall 3, we're sitting pretty.
Clearly the two best teams in college football are Alabama and Clemson, and if you want to back either of those, you're playing into inflated lines. And this is a situation where, off the top of my head, I think Boston College is 16-3 their last 19 games against the spread, and they're a huge home dog against Clemson. Tell us about the action.
Huge home dog is right. This one opened 17.5, and it's been bet all the way up to 19.5. We were at 20 for a tiny bit, but it's at 19.5 now. No one really wants to take the dog at all. We haven't taken any bets really at the 19.5 number. Figuring, it might take to go to 20 or even higher than that to get somebody to take a bet on, to get somebody to want to bet Boston College. So, it's been pretty lopsided action on Clemson. We have had a couple fans play Boston College at kind of the 8-1, 9-1 range on the money line. But in terms of the game itself, really very, very lopsided on Clemson.
A little info update, by the way, on A.J. Dillon. He's still listed as a game-time decision. Adazio kind of hinting that he's probably going to play, but also saying, look, he's probably not going to be right until the bowl game. He needs time to rest that ankle. Dillon, of course, is the go-to guy in the Boston College offense. Wanted to mention this game, Kentucky and Tennessee, because this is a game that got hit pretty hard early in the week in terms of the line moving. What's been going on there?
It has, and it's kind of dipped down and went back up. So this game opened Kentucky -4 in Tennessee. Quickly got bet down to 3.5 because they bet the dog early. But since then, it shot back up to 5.5, where we had people lay 4, 4.5, and 5 up the ladder to get it to 5.5, which is where it is now. Those are pretty sharp bets on Kentucky. Also, this is another one where they're playing the under, and that number is 42.5, and they're still betting it under. So slugfest anticipated here.
Slugfest or no offense?
Yeah, I think no offense would be more likely.
TCU, obviously a very disappointing season for them. That's 2 in the last 3 now, and now they go to West Virginia. Are people believing West Virginia can still be a contender? This
right now is kind of shaping up to be that pros versus Joes matchup. So you figure, West Virginia coming off the huge road win against Texas with that last second victory, the 2-point conversion is at the end of the game there. So that ended up being a bit of a move on Texas. with that one. So TCU is getting 12 here, and that's been the sharp side.